had actually planned to start off this episode a little bit differently, actually with a joke, but now that seems crass given what happened yesterday. And for those unaware, there was a pretty horrific car incident up by Jeju Daehakkyo, the Jeju National University, that resulted in 3 people killed, 59 injured, and 4 of whom are at least seriously injured. So it's not something to joke about.
Now,
And so exactly what happened was, from what I understand from reports that I've read on the local news, is that a 4.5-ton truck hit 2 stops buses and a 1-ton truck near JNU shortly before 6 p.m. while driving down the hill from Sancheongdong towards Jeju City.
So basically what he's saying is the truck driver is coming down Hallasan, down Halla Mountain, and then when it's a pretty steep decline all the way, and then Jeju University on the right is kind of when it still goes further down, but that's kind of like a point where more traffic happens for the first time after coming down the mountain.
Yeah.
It's a very busy intersection.
And I had intended to talk about like driving generally on the island because I have like some stats and thoughts about it, and we all do.
Yes.
If you've ever driven on Jeju, you have thoughts about it, but
or road rage, whatever.
Yeah, and so it's just I just feel awful about what happened, and I feel really bad for
super heartbreaking.
And more information still coming in on it. As we are hearing, it may have been an accident. Is that correct?
It is absolutely an accident. Well, let's not speak in terms of absolute, but it seems like there's enough evidence and video of that the truck driver had lost power to his brakes because of coming down the mountain, and had applied the brakes because the lights were going on. The video, the cars behind him showed video of the lights actually coming on, and so he was trying to apply his brakes but couldn't. And I guess the incident had started. He had lost his brakes like 3 minutes before the accident. Or the brakes were giving out, is probably a better way to say that.
Yeah.
The brakes were giving out 3 minutes before he ran into the truck and the 2 buses.
That's
absolutely
awful.
Horrifying. And I think it was a 79-year-old.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was a there was kids on the bus too, right? Like
college students.
University.
College.
It's right by the university, and it's just horrible. But it's not. That road is notorious for that, is it not?
There's tons of accidents that happen on that road, with or without inclement weather, because Hallasan, for those of you who have lived here, going up and over Hallasan is an adventure for sure. I mean, it gets foggy in like this, where nowhere else on the island is foggy. The conditions, of course, it snows up there when it's not even snowing per se. Might not even be snowing at the university, and it'll be snowing on the road.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not surprising about the brakes. I've had issues. I have an old heavier car, and I had an incident where I was applying my brakes frequently throughout the trip back into the city. I was coming from Sagipo up over the mountain with 3 of my friends, and was applying my brakes. I don't know why. I'm guessing someone was in front of me, and my brakes. All of a sudden, I was like, "Oh no!" Because I was hitting my brakes, and it was giving, and then the brakes were applying, and I had an absolute freak out. Immediately started sweating.
That must
like
have
sweat, super frightening. So I had to pull over and had to let my brakes cool down from overheating.
That's crazy.
Oh, it was one of the most truly, to feel your brakes give and then catch. Scary.
Now, have you ever been in an accident, a fender bender, or anything on Jeju?
Jeju, yeah, I've had one, and it was 2 people merge. I was going into this lane, and the other car was coming this lane, and we slightly banged. Yeah. What about you?
No, knock on wood.
Yeah,
no,
let's both knock on wood, because man.
My dog.
Now the dog thinks someone's knocking on the door. Sorry about that, doggy.
He's very sensitive. Yeah, no, it's awful. But like I said, I had intended to talk about driving today because it is an issue on Jeju.
So this was already a planned topic, and then this incident just happened yesterday.
Yeah.
So quite sudden.
How do you find driving in Jeju? Well, you've been to many countries.
I have been to many countries. And in fact, any friend that knows me knows how I feel about, but I'm going to try to keep it polite on this show. I get really angry. really.
I get your phone messages.
Really, really angry about it. I have never in my life experienced driving like I do on Jeju. It's crazy.
Why do you say it's crazy?
Well, so for example, when I went to traveling in Vietnam, and I talk about this, most of us that live in Asia, we travel a lot throughout Asia. And when I think the thing is this, everyone's like, oh no, Vietnam is so crazy. It's not. It's an organized chaos. Here it's just chaos. And this is my opinion. I just really want to specify this. First of all, the roads are fairly new. Roads in Korea.
They're gorgeous, actually. They're really gorgeous, nice to drive on.
But actually driving and public roads are fairly new. This is not something. Maybe we can make a post about when President Park first did the
Park Chung-hee,
the former. He was the giver of the roads, which is why he's such a favorite president. But to move on from that, I could talk about that for a while. But I think first of all, they're new. Second of all, they're especially new to Jeju locals, meaning. When I first moved here in 2012, not hardly anyone had licenses and were on the road except for farmers and transplants.
Right.
Does that,
Sure, yeah. Well, when I first got here over a decade ago, there was like 4 different types of cars. It was like playing a video game from the 80s.
Literally.
There was just like 3, they're all the same cars, which has very much changed now. I hate driving in Jeju. I hate it. But I put a lot of thought into this, right? Because I
think about it all the time. I get in the car. Why?
Well, I've been accused of being like you're being racist. You're saying, the stereotypical, but it's not that at all. Because I have broken it down to 2 issues.
I like how your mind think. Okay, what is it? What's the first issue?
Well, infrastructure. Infrastructure is a very bad, which drives me crazy about Jeju because Jeju's so new. They could have made parking.
Things
they could have done stuff properly, and they didn't.
And yes, exactly.
And
they just didn't. So now people, and to understand why that's so stressful is that actually people park on sidewalks and park anywhere. There's a whole blog out there. You can search for it. Funny parking in Korea, and people just submit pictures of the craziest things you have ever seen, and this is an everyday normal for us to see.
Yeah, it's not endemic to Jeju, though, right?
No, it's
But like the JGEC, which is the new English town, they had a clean slate to have built a town, and they didn't
provide parking.
Yeah,
I go down there to do some shopping every once in a while, and I got a ticket not too long ago. I had always just parked, on the street, and there's enough room. You're not blocking the traffic like you do in city to just run into the grocery store to get some foreigner foods and run back out. And I got a ticket in the mail like 2 days after, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna. I guess GEC is picking up on the ticket thing.
Well, that leads to the next problem.
All right, here we go.
Which is lack of policing.
Stunning.
I think that's the biggest. That's the reason.
Stunning. So I'm going to tell you a story because I almost made a whole Facebook post about this. And then I was like, Alexis, why do you need to do that?
Right.
But just the other day, I watched, also in my neighborhood, there's kind of a funky intersection that is not a light. It's just blinking lights. And it's always an issue. But I'm going through the light, and up ahead of me, just right in front of me, I see that there's a police officer coming, and I see a car turn left in front of the police officer, pause on an illegal median, pause and thought, should I go? And then went. And when they pulled smack in front of the police car.
Drives me nuts.
Smack in front of it. And I thought, okay, finally someone's going to get pulled over and be given a warning. No.
Well,
no.
Well, it's so awful. It's humorous, right? But it's not funny.
It's not funny.
It's not funny because
when you drive here and live here, it's not funny.
Actually, things have gotten seemingly better because of the pandemic, right?
Less cars on the road.
Yeah, but the thing is, every year I've lived here, there's been a fatality in Junmun. Yes. At least one tourist getting hit by a car in a crosswalk.
Yeah.
And it's completely unavoidable, and nothing ever changes.
Yeah.
Nothing ever changes, which drives me nuts.
It is frustrating, and it's frustrating to see the numbers of deaths, car accidents and deaths by the car pile up, and then things aren't changing. When I do think it could be simple. I don't believe in over-policing. I think there's a big difference between the way Korea police act versus my home country. But I do think there's something to be said about a police being able to pull over a car and being like, oh, by the way, did you know?
Yeah.
At least educational pullover.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because like the roundabouts, just have a cop in a roundabout to teach people how to use a roundabout.
All through, you know what I just heard is all throughout the lands is anyone that's ever lived here just heard you say that, and I heard everybody listening be like, "Yeah, that's right," because it's ridiculous.
But like, just that's when the latest death happened in Jungwon, it was horrific.
Oh, that's just...
And I was furious because there was not a cop out there the next day at that corner
trying
directing
to deal
traffic
with it.
or like showing a presence. And the cop,
it's
less than 300 meters away from where it happened.
Really?
Where it happened.
The police station?
Yeah. And it always happens in the same spot. And it just, I have a kid now, right?
It gets scary, doesn't it?
It's not just this self-righteousness, and it's not about saying Koreans or Jeju people are bad drivers, because they're not. They're phenomenal drivers. They have to be. And a lot of them, a lot of Koreans I've met that have actually been taught like how to drive in the military, and I've driven with them, and I think that they
but there's also, I hear what you're saying, but I will say I also know that there's hagwons that people can pay money to, and instead of having to go through an actual driving course, they can pay extra money. And they can just get their license and their approval without actually having to do a proper course of driving.
Right. Well, so before we get to that, Jeju has consistently 350 car accidents a month. At least
in
2019. Around that. That's
a month.
A month. 350 car
I wonder
accidents
if that's what that stands up to in, worldwide. But that seems shockingly a lot.
Well, I didn't have time to punch the numbers because of like per capita with the rest of Jeju. But that equals about... roughly based on what I've seen, 10 deaths a month. Fewer than 10 deaths a month on Jeju from car accidents, resulting in just under 600 injuries from car accidents a month. Right? Like, it's a lot.
That's a lot.
And it's consistently, at least for the 2019 numbers I was looking at, consistently around those figures.
I would think that
540 injuries, 325 car accidents, almost 400, around those numbers, consistently those numbers.
And I'm going to speculate. Here's my theory, and I'm going to speculate. This has to be one of the higher numbers in Korea alone, never mind worldwide. And this is my speculation, listeners. This is me saying, but I also think that car rentals in Jeju is a massive and booming industry. And I personally think that a lot of people who don't have cars in Seoul, because you don't need them, don't have cars in Busan, because you don't need them, because the public transportation is phenomenal in Korea.
It's great.
People will come down here and rent a car for the fun of renting a car, but have never driven a car on a regular basis.
Yeah,
and now they're coming.
You are right. This is a big problem.
This is a huge...
I don't have the facts though, but anecdotally from talking to people who I've spoken to and seeing the amount of accidents and seeing the amount of like cars, tourist cars.
We know tourist cars, just so you know, is because Jeju has a special license plate for car rentals. So you can just, not only do they have stickers on the car saying it's a car rental, but it's a special kind of license plate. So you can immediately identify that it's a tourist. No, do you actually?
Do you want to hear my joke?
Oh, no.
I made this joke, and I've been sitting on it for like 2 weeks now, trying to tell. So, I'm nervous.
Is it going to be a dad joke?
Are there any other kind of jokes?
Not for you, apparently.
Okay, so why?
Okay.
So on Jeju, the way the rental cars are designated,
I'm already cringing.
Are by ho and ha.
Ho and ha. Okay.
Right. That's the symbol inside the middle. So my question to you is, why are rental cars on the island designated hos and has?
I don't know.
Because their driving is laughable. Ho, ho,
I can't even.
Ha, ha, ha.
I can't even. How did that just pop into your head while you were researching this?
Pop in my head. Jesus. I've been sitting on that joke for, like I said, 2-3 weeks. I've been practicing on Hyunjung every.
Oh God. There are certain people that do dad jokes and must just pop into their heads, and then there's the rest of us that would never even dad jokes don't even pop into my head.
Yeah. But well. Not a dad.
Now you're gonna excuse it. Yeah, well, I'm not a dad. That's true. That's true.
No, it is a thing. It is a thing where because they don't drive there, they come down here. You just need to get a license. You get it. There's also a phenomenon, and this was before the pandemic, where Chinese tourists were coming here specifically just to get their license.
Oh, hey, is that really?
Yeah, that was actually a big thing. You could
come to another country and get
your license.
Were they trading their Chinese?
You trade them back when they go back.
That's so just like us foreigners can do that. So certain states you don't have to take the test here. You can just trade in your certain states from the States. What about Canada?
I can take I took my Korean and traded it in and got my Canadian one.
So, but when you came here, you brought your Canadian and just traded it.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So some states also from the U.S. can do that. I chose to take the test. That was a nightmare.
I ended up taking the test because my license expired.
And I didn't want to keep trading my, I was like, well, maybe I'll go home more. I didn't, but I didn't want to have to deal with the, the bureaucracy of getting so I was like, I'm just going to take the Korean test. I've been driving for years. Nightmare. But that's a whole nother thing. Yeah. So the Chinese people were coming here to.
Yeah, thousands. Like
it makes sense. It makes sense. Why wouldn't you if you could?
Go on vacation.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
why wouldn't you?
Tourism. But I mean, to go on the face of what we're talking about, how bad driving is in Jeju. There was a recent study that came out from the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, and Transport that said Jeju was ranked among the top 3 cities for transport culture in Korea. Best transport culture. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I couldn't figure out what best transport culture means.
Let's not get into that, shall we? I have lots of thoughts on that too. But that's interesting.
Up there with. I thought that was.
Moving on from that before I get too bitter about that.
But we're talking about tourists, right?
Right.
So actually, this week, the JTO produced an app, a smartphone app, in order to kind of give tourists who are in rental cars a safer journey while they're here because there's an issue.
I saw that. What's it called? The Beautiful Road.
It's called.
What's it called?
I got it.
Yeah.
It's called Jeju Slow Road Navigation.
Slow Road. I saw that.
Yeah.
I thought that's pretty genius.
Yeah, and it's 50 different routes on Jeju. Yep. And I don't know how it's
scenic routes, and then if I remember correctly, it took you by some of the routes will take you by some of the tourism sites.
Yeah,
I thought that was
50
genius.
Routes in 7 areas. I don't know how it prevents congestion necessarily. I couldn't figure that
congestion really isn't the issue. It's the actual driving to and from.
Right.
But this might be super useful. Now, did you see? Will they put that into the navigation?
It's for your phone. It's only for Android phones.
See, this bothers me because here is my big thing. I have a real problem with the tourists coming down and driving is because I drive a lot. Every day I'm in my car, I drive a lot. So it is very normal for me to pass or be behind a rental car and their GPS, all cars have GPS now, all rental cars. So it's not
by
law. So it's there and you can see it glowing, right? You can see it turned on and the driver will have their cell phone up and in front of their face, and I'm like, this is horrifying.
Or taking pictures. That's what they're always taking pictures, right?
Oy vey.
But I thought this app was kind of an interesting idea and an interesting endeavor to try to get it's because people will be coming to the island this summer in droves.
Droves. I love that word, don't you?
That's
droves.
not a bad word.
It's a good word. Oh, but 100%. And
they're going to be renting cars. Yeah. And because of COVID, they're going to be going to more of the off-beaten paths, right? They're not going to be going to.
And my blood pressure is rising just listening to you say that. I already feel it going up. But it is a good idea. Good for JTO for doing. I think it seems. Help me with this word. It seems
forward thinking.
Thank you. Wow, that was not coming out. It seems like they know Jeju's going to get hit. Why not start doing some things to prepare for it? And good job.
There's another issue.
Okay.
Growing issue when it comes to driving in Jeju, which is deer. Have you ever rode deer?
Listen, I am not one of the lucky ones. 9 years, and of course I've seen them, but
you don't see the deer?
Not all the time. Not like everyone's like, oh, I see the dolphins and mussel
I've never seen
right? I get so angry. I've lived here 9 years, people, 9 years, and then the roe deer. You can go to the roe farm and
and they're just there.
But in general, I've seen them on occasion at night driving from Seogwipo back to my home in the city, and you'll see them, but not like I used to. Let me just say this. Not like I used to back in Virginia.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah, well, I see them quite frequently at night around here because the JGC area. That's the problem is that they used to be over there, and the JGC, they're losing land. And they're getting hit by cars.
See, and I've never seen again, in Virginia, you would drive every day and see a dead deer on the side of the road, and I've never seen that.
Well, on average...
you got some numbers. I like this.
140 deer killed by vehicles in 2010s, right?
And in 2010?
In 2010s, average 140 deer were killed by cars between 2010 to,
now
2020, right?
Okay. Do you hear that noise?
Yeah, it's just
okay.
And then But in the early 2010s. But then in 2013, it went up to 330 a year.
So it increased from 179 to 330.
140 to 330 in like 3 years. Wow. And then in 2019, it was almost 600. It was 557 deer that was hit by cars on Jeju. Now,
because of I'm guessing because of the lack of land.
Lack of land, more cars,
more apartment buildings, and
how many people have come here since 2010 to 2019, Jesus. Right? And how much they're blaming it. The government is saying it has to do with the infrastructure and the buildings that are occurring on the mid-mountain regions, right? Which is
a big battle, by the way, for the Jeju people not to tear through the national park, which is Halasan. Yeah. So that's a big battle, its own story. But yeah, that would make sense. Obviously, they're being driven out.
Not only for accidents, right? Like, but also for there used to be in 2019 13,000 roe deer on the island. 2019, 4,400.
No kidding.
Last year, 3,500. So
that's 1,000.
Yeah, they went from in a little over 10 years from 13,000, losing 10,000 roe deer in.
That's really worrisome.
Right, that's a lot, and this is the reason why.
I've never heard of the government talking about this either. Like, do you like that it's a problem?
Yeah,
you would think it's a problem because it's.
See, the problem is, the island has. They're native. They have no predators. Yeah. And what are you going to do?
And no hunters.
You're going to tell people. They actually do hunt. They're allowed to be hunted during certain seasons on the island.
I had no idea.
But now they're depleting, so who knows if they will?
Oh, well, that's news for me.
Right.
Didn't know you could get a hunting license here.
Yeah, or like a rifle, like
or a bow and arrow.
I would assume maybe a rock. I don't know. I'm being facetious about the rock.
Well, I'll tell you what, people. This is a good time to plug our Instagram, where we often do a "Did you know?" like fun little facts. The "Did you know?" is fun facts. The 4-3 is serious facts. But do check us out on the Instagram. Maybe this might be something that we'll post a couple information pieces on this.
Picture of rocks.
No, but I mean it's interesting. I wonder if it would garner attention. You know, if it's people start speaking up about it. So
actually, the last thing that has to do with the roe deer that's a threat to the roe deer.
Okay.
Stray dogs.
Oh, of course. Well, that in my head immediately, like, of course, those poor animals. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have never.
The article that I'm getting most of this information from is coming from a Korean Biz article, and the way they phrase it is that the fawn and the does have trouble with feral dogs.
They said trouble?
They had a euphemistic term that made it seem like no, they're just being taken away as opposed to being eaten. Now,
it's like a gang war.
Yeah.
But one gang is innocent completely.
Yeah,
but also, let's be truly honest. I feel my heart breaks every time I see the stray dogs here. You know, because we're a different culture. You and I were from Canada and the U.S. respectively, and it's a different culture. And
when it comes to animals,
and you do see a change happening here on Jeju. You do see, but the fact of the matter is, you can't drive. You know how I just said I never see deer? I don't drive a day here without seeing a stray dog. So there you go.
Yeah, so now...
Wow. You just, yet again, Darryl with the info.
Yeah, well, that's what if I didn't bring that, what would I bring to this podcast?
Well, all right then.
Yeah. So now let's on to the next section. We have a quick update. I wanted to get to this last time, but we didn't really have time, which has to do with the casino heist. Now,
right. Fascinating still.
What do you remember about the casino heist?
Okay, so there seemed like there was a little pod, a little gang, a little employee gang that stole, and you're going to have to remind me about the number because it's an obscene number. Tell me.
How many apple boxes?
Yeah, how many apple boxes, but how much money? How much money was...
14.56 billion won. So it was about like 13 million, something like that.
So
US dollars?
These employees managed to haul this money, unknown, but maybe that's your update. And they found a couple people, but they didn't find one. They didn't find the money, and they didn't find the main person.
They found most of the money because most of the money was left at the casino, like at a personal locker or something in the casino.
So clearly I didn't remember very well.
And there's I have not been able to find out if the woman, which was a
caught
Malaysian woman, was caught because she left.
Malaysian employee.
Yes.
Let's make it clear she was an employee.
There. And she left, and on the end of your trip or end of your holiday, and she never came back.
Never came back.
Right. Now, the missing was reported to the Hong Kong Stock Exchange around the same time that it was told to the Jeju police. Okay. But now, recently, the big thing was whether or not they'd be able to get the money back. They weren't sure.
Okay.
Because under Korean law, the rule is until the case is solved.
Oh no!
You don't get it's
the
part
money
of the evidence.
Is just in like a fluctuation, like just out there.
It's like it's in a vault somewhere on Jeju, right?
Can you imagine?
So this is a company that's done really bad during lost.
I'm not even laughing. At first I was laughing, but that's not even funny. Wow.
Right. So now, but they recently, like at the end of last month, I believe, they released a note to the stock exchange saying, yeah, we think we can get it back, but they didn't really give a time frame on it. Okay. And, but I mean.
So that's the update?
That's it. That's it. It's not very big.
Wait. The update is actually that they're still declaring it in just out there floating on a cloud. Yeah.
But it's still like how many months has it been now?
Oh, it's been several.
Yeah. It's been since January.
Can you imagine just trying to keep your business afloat and just knowing that money's out there and you just can't touch it? I can't even imagine. Wait, the update didn't include anything about the woman? There was
nothing else.
Wow, so
maybe that's
she's still at large.
Hopefully she's okay, like you said.
Yeah,
that's one.
In all seriousness, you have to wonder. I mean, you just have, I really do hope she's okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for that update.
Very sure.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know if that was an update. I don't think there was.
I just wanted to talk about the casino.
I actually thought you were, I was like, okay, we're going to have, there's going to be a shocking.
Yeah, so
but I guess probably the national news probably would have, we probably would have seen it in the news if there was a big update.
I'm just getting all of these updates from,
from your Reuters /
No,
whatever.
No, not even that. These are coming from, gambling rags and things like that I follow.
All right, all right, there's that.
But now I think it's time for us to throw to Jeju Dialect Corner.
Hey-oh, I'm really liking this. I'm learning so much.
As am I.
Yeah. I can't believe we both lived here. 9 years, me, 10 decade, 12. How long have you been here?
I've been here a
while. You don't even know.
I got a kid now,
and the fact that both of us don't already know these things that our dear teacher is teaching us is a little embarrassing. But anyways, but no time like now.
And it's time for another segment of the Jeju Dialect Corner, brought to you by GS25 in Jungmun, across the street from the Uchiguk. When you're in Jungmun, make sure to go by the GS25 for all your victuals and libations, including mekju, soju, makgeolli, and chicken and other stuff.
Anything all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So, welcome back. Thank you again to our lovely teacher, Hyunjung, for being here again. We appreciate that.
Hello, thank you for having me again.
Yay. So, what do you think? Is this going well?
I hope so.
Me too.
I hope people finding it useful.
Me too. Yeah.
So today, what do you want to learn?
So I have two thoughts, but they both relate to buying things. I was talking to Darryl about this. I was thinking it would be really cool, and you could score, some Ajuma points if you go to the 5-day market, and you can say two things. The first one, which would be, how much is it? And I think everyone would be super happy to hear that at the 5-day market in the Jeju dialect.
Okay. 얼마 꽝 or 얼마 마심.
Ooh, two. Yeah. So let's do the first one. 얼마 꽝?
Yeah, 얼마 꽝.
얼마 꽝.
얼마 꽝.
얼마 is the Korean part. 얼마예요 is how you would ask, or in standard Korean.
Okay.
But 꽝?
Yeah.
Why is it 꽝? What is that? Is that hada? What is that?
I don't know. Just asking word. Also 얼마 꽝 is not respect word in Korea. So maybe you want to use 얼마 마심. That's more polite.
Super important. Yeah. Okay, so can you say that one more time?
얼마 마심.
얼마 마신.
얼마 마심.
God, my accent's horrible. 얼마 마신. Okay, so for our listeners, definitely go with a second because you're not trying to offend anyone when you go to the 5-day markets.
When would you use 얼마 꽝 then? Friends?
Yeah.
Friends.
Okay.
When you ask your friends how much stuff is.
I'm sure an Ajuma or Adjusee could say any of that at any time.
Yeah, that's true.
They get the proper. Okay, so One more time. Oma machine.
Yeah,
얼마 machine.
Oma machine. Okay. And then the second I thought could kind of tie in as well with the how much is it, which is something that's very standard in Korea to do, is asking for a discount. I think, Darryl, you were trying to tell me a funny story about this.
Yeah, no, it's the one word that my dad remembers from his time in Jeju. Is so funny. He wouldn't. It was in Jeju, like not Jeju dialect, but regular Korean.
Yeah.
He's just. It's my dad. He loves asking for discounts. He's a garage sale shopper.
So
you
what
know?
would he do? What would he do? Would he just
go
go to a restaurant and
"Kakajuseo, kakajuseo."
Really?
Yeah, he just loves saying that.
That's so funny. Hyunjung, did you ever hear him do that?
No.
Because I wonder what she would have done, like if she'd been like, "Oh, Dad, I don't know."
My dad would always tell us, "Look, Kaka, go ask him for Kaka." You know?
That's okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't think he had the.
I think you can do it in certain places, and I think the 5-day market is kind of suitable to say, you know,
Yeah.
is there a special, is there a discount, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about that, Hyunjung? How do you say that?
You can say 깎아줍사예.
Kakajupsaye?
Yeah, 깎아줍사예.
Kakajupsayo.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I
Or
messed that
like
up.
깎아줍사.
Kakajupsa.
And 깎아줍사. Yeah means kind of like please in
Right,
English.
which I think is
Yeah,
always
yeah.
good. I think, especially for foreigners going around, I think to say the more polite is better. So, kakajupsayo.
줍사예.
Jupsaye.
Yeah, 줍사예.
Ooh.
깎아줍사예.
Tara, why you're not trying it? Try it.
Kakajupsaye. I know. I was just thinking about jupsa. I think I've
Why,
heard
what's
that
that?
in another context before.
Oh, okay. Jupsai?
Isn't there a
Hi.
beer?
Okay. Is there
Yeah.
a beer?
Oh, Jupsa beer? Old Jeju beer? Jupsa?
No.
Anyways, I'm making stuff
I think
up
you're
now.
totally
Yeah.
making stuff up.
Well, that's been another corner.
Thank
Jeju
you,
Dialect
and again
Corner.
to our lovely
Thank
teacher
you very much
and the happy dog that you heard bark.
And
This
I'm-
is Tan.
And the next time you're in Jungmoon, make sure to hit up the GS25.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye.
And that was another corner of our Jeju dialect.
I love it.
Yeah, and
Hopefully it gets everybody some
discounts.
free goodies too.
Yeah.
Like I really like it must be so pleasing to hear a language that you're fluent in and that is your own language, grown up and then to be an older person and then to hear someone else saying it to you.
Have you ever
must be
gotten
pleasing.
discounts or anything?
Well, I think, yeah, because I'm nice. And so, like, I smile, so I always get the extra bananas and the tomatoes and stuff like that. And, yeah. But guaranteed, if you're going to pull this out, the ajumas or the grandmothers are just going to be like, oh, how do you know that word?
Yeah, I don't
That's
go
gonna
anywhere.
It's going to be fun.
Like, I just go to my local, the 5-day market
Yeah,
here.
Well, I
so
think
they all know me. They all know
but
me
you
anyway.
can still try it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have my phone prepped and ready with our me, you, and Jeju Instagram open, and I'm gonna have it queued up to where we have the phonetics spelled out.
Right.
And I'm gonna try it out. Maybe we'll have a follow-up story in the next couple of podcasts.
If you guys use any of these quivers that we're giving to you for arrows for your quiver, please send us your
stories.
victories. Yeah.
And also, let's just do. I'm just gonna do a shameless plug. People, please. A lot of people see our posts, and we can, you can see how many people have viewed and stuff like that. Please just take the 2 seconds to give us a like.
Yeah.
It's hard to break through social media, especially with the algorithms Instagram's using now. It's hard, people. It's hard. If you could just, when you see something from us, if you could just do us a favor of sharing it or giving us a like, man, we'd appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for that.
But also thank you for your support already, just by listening. It's appreciated.
It is, but
But
hit that like button. A like won't kill you, people. I see what y'all are liking out there. It's not going to kill you to.
Reviews help too on Apple Podcasts. Yeah.
Anyways, enough with the shameless
your
plug.
friends.
But it is important to us, and it's necessary, for us trying to grow something creative like this.
And so now,
Anyways, moving on.
Now for our last segment of the Z podcast.
Z podcast.
Last Saturday was April 3rd, which is kind of a big day.
Big day. We talked about it
many times, and we're going to talk about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the actual anniversary of the 73rd anniversary of April 3rd, 1948, which is the day that they've chosen to memorialize the tragedy that came upon Jeju between 1947 and 1954. 30,000 Jeju people were killed at the hands of the state. Now, President Moon Jae-in came down to give a speech to only, because of the pandemic, I believe it was 40 people.
40 people in attendance.
Yeah.
If you guys go check out our Instagram, this is not a shameless. You should go check it out so you can see the people that did the arrangement did a really good job. So, because I asked my friend who did it, and they set up the chairs. So it was the chairs were set up, and it looks like a lot more could be in attendance.
Right.
But in fact, they did socially distance, and in between each chair was a bouquet of live flowers to commemorate that. Yeah, it was really well thought out. I know that's something so simple, but I just thought visually,
especially since there was only going to be 40 people.
Only 40 people,
right?
so it was just, I thought it, and you must keep socially distanced. I mean, Korea's not messing around with social distancing, so yeah, something interesting.
No,
yeah.
so he came down and he again expressed the government's. It's
super
nice
important that he does this
because a president hasn't been here since. I mean, he came, but before he came, and 2 years ago, a president hadn't come here since like President Roh.
Right. Which is what year? Remind the listeners. Can you pull that out?
I think it's 2006.
But it was a long time ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah,
people.
because it was a
so
while.
Moon's been here 3 times. We might have to look that up, but
yeah, at least
he's been
two
at
times.
least 2 times, and I think maybe 3 times. And it's a big deal that he comes down.
Well, what made this one different was actually the fact that the heads of the military and the police were in attendance for the first time.
No way.
Yeah, so that was a big deal because they have been the most reticent to participate in this.
Because it's their names, right? It's getting, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, back when... So, Moon Jae-in apologized, I believe it was on the 70th. The next year...
70th anniversary.
70th anniversary.
So he came down and there was a big ceremony,
Then,
so that was the first...
Yeah.
Massive apology.
And then the next year... Well, after Roe.
Right, after, right.
Then... the next year in Seoul, the military and the police apologized. One of them expressed regret over what happened, but in Seoul, they didn't come here. I thought it was kind of a lame apology, but this is the first time they came here.
Lame is a polite way to say that. Yes.
Yeah, no,
That's like
okay,
like when you shout you're sorry over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, and you're looking back over your shoulder and you're still moving forward. But that's not what the Jeju people need or deserve.
Yeah, well, I actually have quite a bit of issues with it, but that's actually for a different one. I'll get more into that later. But
okay.
For instance, back in 2003, after the government voted and accepted the Jeju 4-3 book, which is up there, which is probably off camera.
Well, and can we just stop for a second? Can you just please tell the listeners, what do you mean by accepted the book? Because this is kind of a big deal, too.
Right. So in 2000, they passed the law to start an investigation. The book, which is 4-3, that one right there by your fingers.
I'll put it up on the camera.
This is the English version of the book.
Okay. Massive, by the way. It's a lot.
Right. So they had to agree upon this in Congress to the information in it, right?
So they each had to read it, review it, and be like, okay, we're going to let this go through.
Let's check this, right?
So that's what you
any
mean.
commission would do this, right? Like they're even in the States right now, they're talking about doing this with not with Sasan.
No, but I mean
with the January 6th assault on the Capitol building. They're talking about doing a commission for that, but they're debating over how many of which party can be a part of the commission, right?
This is amazing to me that facts have to go through. I mean, I get it. Listen, I get fact checking.
Yeah.
Do I think our politicians are the best fact checkers? No, certainly I don't.
They choose your textbooks.
Yes, and I certainly don't agree with it. But keep it on. I thought that was important to note. So this was accepted and published.
When this book was accepted, 17 commission members of the police and military resigned in protest.
No way.
Right. So it's not like they've been against this for a very long time. So their coming to this was bigger to me because of that, more so than the apology they gave years ago.
Do you know the numbers of how many were invited or able to come?
No,
I think everything's so secret.
No, but the heads of the military and the police came, right? That's
enough for that.
Big,
okay,
right?
That is huge, man. That's huge.
When they apologized 2 years ago, when I talked to actual survivors,
make a note,
they said they didn't care because the president had already apologized. The president apologized on their behalf, right? But now they're coming, which sets precedent. So maybe they will come in the future, and it'll always be a thing, no matter which party is in power. That
should just be a standard. They will be in attendance to recognize and acknowledge.
Because before Moon, it was always the prime minister.
Okay.
The prime minister.
Oh, right, I knew that.
Right.
Shocking that I knew something like that, but I did know that.
But now that Moon is coming, maybe this will mean from the Señoría, I don't think they're called Señoría, and the Conservative Party gets in power again, they won't stop this tradition.
Okay.
Right. But there was another thing that happened which didn't get any attention at all, which is the fact that the Jeju 43 Foundation just came out with 2 new volumes to this book.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, why 2 new?
I'm not sure why they split it up into 2 versions, but actually it's volume 1 and volume 2, and it's compiled.
So wait, this was redone, and now we have a volume 1 and 2?
And now you have 2 extra volumes to go with this, which is based on information that they got from American archives over the last 10 years.
So not repeated information, additional
information.
When do you think they're going to release that?
I think it's already out.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, we need to get that, don't you think?
I'm hoping. I mean, I believe it's out. If not out already, it'll be out soon. And then we can... But it's supposed to be.
Daryl, have you read this book completely and fully? And how many times? How many times? That was really my question. I knew you had read it.
No, but I go through it, right? Like I go through different sections and I read different parts. I read, depending on what I need. But
amazing.
So one of the things that is in the new volumes is the fact that it doesn't seem too consequential for like everyday people who are just trying to learn about what happened, right? But there's going to be some things in there about the fact that the March 1st shooting incident, which we talked about.
Yes. Sorry, I'm making
U.S. American government in Korea staff intelligence recorded actually of it being the shooting event having been started by a rioter at 10 a.m. which is not true.
No, not
true. But also.
And also,
really
are we gonna call them rioters now?
That
seems not gonna lie to you. That seems very American.
No, but that's what they would have called it back then.
Really? I was being so obviously not always a huge fan of. I would have thought rioters seem in my head. Maybe this is just modern times. Is a negative connotation for protester.
Oh right, no, but
why would
they were blaming the whole thing. The shooting incident, American was blaming the shooting incident on March 1st on a rioter, a leftist rioter. No, a leftist rioter is what the document seems to say, but I need to
That's
get
what I'm
my
saying.
hands on it. Yeah.
You should get your hands on it, and then if we can remember, that's interesting to me. The language chosen is maybe I could have said that a little bit better. To me, it wasn't shocking that American document might come out saying something that it's a rioter versus a protester, and I think language like that is really important.
Sure.
Didn't Brendan, last podcast, also we talked a little bit about the language used between different parties, and that was. Man, if you guys didn't go back and listen to Brendan's. It's something you could listen to 3 times and be like, what? Wow, you know? But I remember thinking that's interesting. The language that each party or each government that has gone through the years of Korea chooses to use when describing the incidents.
It's how they control the narrative, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So...
listen to that podcast, people, because he really goes into controlling the narrative. And wow.
Now, did you get a chance to listen or read his speech?
No, but Moon's speech is the Blue House here in Korea did release that in English.
They did that finally today.
We'll post that on our Facebook page, but you can find that super easy anyways by googling. But no, I haven't yet.
It's just nice to see such. Like specific language, I thought. Right? Like he was referring to, because this year, as we talked about, was the passing of the amendment to the special law. And so he talked about how that is, in his opinion, the most important thing the plenary system, the parliament did this year. Right?
The most important thing. I also thought, I talked to a few of my Jeju friends, my local friends, Koreans, and they did mention that the speech did seem to... how do I say this? Did seem to have an air of hope, of unity, of, it's not just Jeju people versus everyone else. I really think Moon is trying to unite the country over this incident instead of dividing, which we'll see. I don't know. I haven't read it yet, but that's my Korean friends mentioned that.
Right. And I see him doing that not through, like, trying to bow to the conservative side of the argument. No. Right?
I think he's kind of put his foot down a little bit, and he's chosen this path, and he has not altered. I think for 3 years he made it clear that this is the way he's going to do this, and good for him.
And he said, like in his speech, he called the revision a blueprint to build a house for the history of Jeju April 3rd, which I thought was kind of weird. I didn't understand what that meant.
Say that one more time. Say that one more.
A blueprint to build a home for the history of the Jeju 4th April incident.
Do you think that was just a translation?
No,
you would hope. You would hope that
translation.
Yeah, so
no.
you would hope that it was good. Well, I guess I could kind of see that he's trying to lay out a plan.
But then he goes on and talks about how inside the museum, which is what we were talking about,
the 4-3 Peace Park. To be clear,
inside the 4-3 Peace Park.
Beautiful. Go visit.
There is a monument waiting to be etched with the name of Sasam, of whatever we come to define it as, which is, we were talking just now about the back and forth of how it's defined.
The language and
And he even said, we do not know what name will ultimately be carved on the stele, but it is clear that the truth uncovered will become a driving force that leads us toward unity. And the honor restored will guide us toward a greater harmony and mutual benefit, as well as peace and human rights.
Nice.
So I thought... I don't know. I kind of saw that as what he was talking about was the home, was trying to find a place to put it within, to define it and put it within Korean history.
I'd have to read that a couple times to decide how I would like to interpret that. But again, this goes back to his language hasn't changed once, and it goes to my Korean friend saying, he really is trying to unite over this incident, and the court case being recognized and stuff like that seems to be in the right direction.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. Well, number one, I can't wait to see the number 2, number 3 volume of this book, just to see. But it's not going to be new information that you don't know.
No, it's
Do you think
it's new information that they've pulled out of archives of the last.
But
10 years.
you don't think you kind of already know that stuff?
Oh,
you know what I mean by that?
Well,
I don't know it. I don't know it, but.
So in the press release, this was the big thing that they talked about. And it's not, it doesn't change much of anything.
Right.
But it is good to have, and it'll be interesting
documentation.
to see.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what else
in print.
right?
In print, yeah.
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 So,
did you help translate this? Or was that Darren?
This needs help.
Oh, it does. The
this
first.
Is really
so
bad.
we were saying this. I'm referring to the book sitting in front of me. The volume one. Okay.
This actually needs to be rewritten.
It needs some help. Okay.
It's actually even with
it's
the
a
mistakes.
lot. I mean, you guys, it's over an inch thick.
Yeah,
it's massive.
But
it's heavy.
There's a lot of problems with this book, and
that can cause issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens with book 2 and 3.
Yeah, and that's about all the time we have for today.
I think so. Thanks again to our teacher Hyun Jung for teaching us. Remember, our Jeju dialect this week is how much is it? And yo, can I get a discount? But politely, please. Yo, can I get a discount? Please.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so please, yeah. So, that's it and we'll be back. We're trying to plan some things for our upcoming episodes, trying to do some different interviews, and we'll see what happens.
Stay
tuned.
If you have questions, thoughts, worries, hopes,
please
concerns,
hit us up in any way. Yeah.
And as we said.
Yes. It sounds a little bit cheesy asking, but I mean, it is. Listen, it's a modern world, people. We need your help to make it in this modern world, and that
help
means heart us and like us.
Yeah.
But thank you again, Darryl. As always, good. We'll see you again in 2 weeks, and thank you to Jason Lisko for our wonderful podcast music, and Sarah Hodgkiss for helping us with our artwork. And my co-host Darryl is in charge of pretty much everything: the recording, the editing, the researching. I mean, I could make a whole list, but I won't because it makes me sound inadequate. And then there's me, and I like to just talk. And yeah, that's about it. But thanks again. We'll see you again soon.
Ciao.
Until
next time, be me and Jeju.
Nice. I always forget that.